You can go from 0 to 100K a month pretty well yourself. You might have one support agent that will help you. Everything else you can do 100% yourself.
Sasha Karabut is one of the world's most influential e-commerce strategists and scaling experts. He's built a multi-million-dollar empire from the ground up, generating over $3 million in profit across his ventures.
Trusted by over 2,200 entrepreneurs, he's known for helping beginners turn fresh ideas into consistent $10,000 months.
Founder-led UGC is working really, really well. That story-based content, super authentic. Usually, for most founders to get from like 0 to 10, it's just like, once you've got to like 10K a month and you want to get to 100K a month, 9 out of 10 times, it's just like, how do I tip more ad spend onto the same damn thing?
We're going to put like a 5-step blueprint on how to scale an e-commerce business from 0 to the first $1 million. What are my first steps?
I think from what I find the most successful founders in our community do is they really focus on like, number one being like...
Sasha, you have been in the e-commerce space for quite some time now. You and your wife, Nera, have scaled and even exited some super successful companies in the e-commerce space. You've got one of the top e-commerce firms here in Australia. Why should people actually listen to this conversation and listen to you and what we're about to share on how to grow a successful e-commerce business and not write you off as being one of those other just online e-com people?
What a great question. So I think I would just say, like, fundamentally in terms of like what we do as a company, we help people to develop and innovate like new product ideas and bring them to market. And so from what I find through a lot of like the maybe competitors or people who are like online gurus promoting maybe things of a similar nature is that like what we do differently is we own our own businesses, we run our own e-commerce businesses to be able to demonstrate consistently what it's like, what it takes. The kind of like current best practices in terms of like running these types of brands. One of the brands does over $1 million annually, and the other brand is a smaller brand that does about $500,000 annually. And so the philosophies and the methodologies that we kind of like teach inside of all of our programs, they're always based on what we're doing right now. And so it's being able to like showcase to people like, hey, like, this is an evolving conversion rate tactic that's improving, profitability, or this is something that we're finding in our product selections that improving our gross profit. Like, this is what we're doing on our pages. These are the bundling tools. Like, everything that we teach, we're able to demonstrate constantly. And so, in the e-commerce space, particularly, speed is really important, right? And so, like, the sooner you can get the right information into your business and the most relevant information that's ahead of like where the market is, the quicker you can get the benefit and the results, right? And so like rather than, new founders or potential founders that are looking to scale, they're out there testing, different outdated information that might be old and ancient and archaic. We're able to give them the most current, the most up-to-date, literally like, this is yesterday's information. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we raised our profitability. Here's how we reduced our inventory holding costs. And this is what we're doing. Now you do the same thing. And so the speed that people get of that kind of relevant information is much, much faster. And it's like, I think about it from the perspective of all the information's out there, right? And so like you go to ChatGPT these days, you go to YouTube, you go anywhere, right? Everything is like in the web of the internet, right? So like, I like to think what we do is make that and assimilate that information into relevant, specific, digestible pieces of content or digestible pieces of direction that can help that brand get to that next level right away. So that's why I believe that we are leading in the Australian market, and we're going to continue doing that.
It seems like a lot of people in this space are not doing what you're doing. Would you agree that a lot of people in this e-commerce education space, they're probably better at selling courses and selling their programs versus actually building stores?
Yeah.
Because that's what it seems like the industry is like. If you get online, you can spot an e-com course seller from a mile away. They got the Lambo pictures, the Dubai pictures, the Rolexes.
Yeah.
Have you found that to be the case?
Oh, most certainly. I think it's great, like, because it's very clear in terms of like people are starting to become a lot more sophisticated, like consumers are, and they're just like, okay, so I want to get help to build a business. Okay, so although the Lamborghinis are like attractive and it still works,
marketing,
it does work. You know what I mean? Every young dude's like, oh wow, I want the car. So it's like it still plays a part. But I think people are becoming much, much, much more aware of like, okay, so where can I get real help? Where can I get real support? Where's the guy who's using all the money that I'm going to pay him for the program to fund his Lamborghini versus like the guy who's pouring it all back into his company and his resources and ultimately his client. So yeah, I think people are much more aware of it. Yeah, definitely.
So anyone who's seeing you guys on social media now, they might see, some of the glitz, the glamour, growing this massive company. And I've known you for years. And I've seen the come up of this. And I know more about your story. But for the people who don't know you, like you also came from, like there was a point in your life where you were a drug addict. You were like in some bad situations, crippling debt. Sometimes when people are getting started, they might look at someone who's in a position where you are and pedestal them and go, but I can never get there. I can never, because I'm here right now.
Yeah.
And I guess what light could you shed on these people if they're in maybe in a situation where they're like, life's hard right now. I'm in a mess, or I'm in a bad relationship, or I'm in debt, or whatever. How could I ever get there? Like, is there some sort of insights or anything you could give these people?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that it's like if I reflect back onto like when I was, a drug addict, or when I was like very different in terms of my overall life environment to now. So like I was working in construction at like 25 years old, had about $150,000 worth of debt, had like a daily drug addiction where I was using, cocaine every single day. And that was kind of like what I just observed to be like normal, because everyone else around me was quite similar to that as well. And I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't get a job. It was really challenging to even like pay my rent and stuff like that. And I remember like waking up like day after day after day and being like, dude, I'd be super pumped if I could just wake up on time, or if I could just like, send an email and apply for a job, like something, you know what I mean? And so I think it's challenging sometimes because, like you mentioned, like people do put others on pedestals, but it's just like they've just done so much more of like the things that you're afraid to do. Like, just like for me, I've like just done so many reps of whether it's like waking up on time, or like, studying certain resources, learning, doing ridiculous amounts of like time and energy and work into like one particular thing. But I think like fundamentally, it's just like, just start with where you're at. Like I always look at like people who are like frozen in wherever they're up to, and I'm like, okay, so there are certain things that you can control right now in your environment. Like for sure, you know what I mean? Like start to get some kind of momentum. And for me, it was like literally just like, dude, just wake up on time, start making your bed. And I just started doing those two things, which is like retardedly simple, but it was just like that little bit of like,
Just to start forming some simple discipline habits.
All it was just like, I said that I was going to do this thing and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I said that I was going to do this thing and I'll do it. It was just like a little bit of that relationship, because before then, all it was like, okay, I'm going to wake up on time. I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm not going to do drugs today. Okay, I'm definitely going to do that. And it was just, everything was broken. So I had no trust with myself. I had no trust with like anything that would come into my mind. And it wasn't until I was like really, really, really hurting in terms of like, I was that bad of a position. And I was just like, something's got to give here. Like I have to change something. It was just like, it kind of forced me, the forced hand a little bit into like, you're fucked now.
You know what I found very, very interesting? That 97.8% of you that listen and view this podcast haven't yet subscribed. Now, if you're looking for the one way that you can actually help us build this show into something that's going to be absolutely incredible and life-changing for you, the one thing you can do is to hit that subscribe button, because it takes a lot of time, effort, and money that we put into this podcast to make it what it is. And we've made it very clear that we never want to run ads or sponsors or anything like that on this show. So the only way that we can actually grow this channel is by subscribers. And I promise to you that if you hit that subscribe button and you help this show grow, then I'm going to continually keep bringing more, bigger, and better guests to teach you the skill set and the mindset that you wish you learned earlier in life. So please, it'll mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and do that right now. Now let's get into this episode. So I'm curious to know, I was going to ask you if you think e-commerce is like the best thing in style right now, but you'd probably be biased on that. So no, I sort of want like you've obviously like your entire company is on that. So I just want to bypass that question and ask you, why do you think e-commerce, out of all the other things someone could be doing right now, why is this one of the best businesses to be able to start and get into today?
I think because it doesn't require any kind of like changing or education for people to understand the overall business model. So like everybody buys products online. And so like if you exchange in that kind of like process and you have bought something online, you've had that thought of like, I wonder if I could maybe like be the guy selling the product. And so it's so easy for people to understand. And like when you think about the model overall, it's like, okay, you're just providing that product to somebody else that's already out there. They're already consuming. Billions of transactions every single day happen. And it's like, I'm just going to position myself to capture some of that. It's not like I'm, re-educating the model. I'm changing. I'm having to re-educate my clients or my customers about like, all right, this is this new technology. This is this new AI system that's going to do X, Y, and Z. It's just like, okay, there are billions of dollars of value exchanged every single day, and it happens consistently. There's no like change of philosophy or change of thinking. It's just like, just attach your own stream of that and carve that off into your own business. That's why I like it the most. If you talk to anybody and they're like, oh, dude, I've always wanted to start an e-commerce bit. Every single person has the potential to do it, and you don't need to like learn like a skill of sales. You don't need to learn a skill of any particular like internal skill set. You need to follow a particular series of steps and actually get the business running, and you can do it.
Do you have to be like tech savvy?
I mean, like,
because it does involve websites.
It does. I have a client, and she lives in like rural Queensland, and she jumps onto our coaching calls, and her company that she designed sells wooden like carved kids toys, and so she knows this like old guy that lives across the farm or something. She lives in like full like the farm, like a desert farm, and she knows this old guy that lives right down the way there, and he carves these toys like by hand for her.
Wow.
She sells them on her store for like $600 for these like high-end carved toys. The business does like between like $10,000 and $15,000 a month. Single mum, little to no tech experience, jumps onto our coaching calls, and she's like wild as, but she's able to just crush it because she just follows instructions. I look at stories like this and I'm like, no technical background, no previous experience. There's another brand that we helped to launch, and he works as a fencer. He puts up like fences and stuff like that. We helped him build and design this like skateboard product with, it's like a recovery board, right? And so it has like a skateboard with like two like spheres on the bottom of it, like cork spheres, and it's designed to help recover like your knees and ankles, because on skateboarding you're always like hitting your knees and ankles, right? And so we helped him to bring this product to market. He's done like, I think about $60,000 in sales just from the first like few months of launching, all organic, just through like Instagram and TikTok, no ad spend at all. And the guy barely could really use a laptop effectively. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, if the process is there and you're able to identify like a problem in the market and actually solve that problem really uniquely. So many other examples that I could share. A carpenter recently, we helped him to build these shorts, a particular style of like shorts that help people, carpenters and people on job sites, because like, you wear those thick khaki style pants. They're really uncomfortable. They're really hot. They're always ripping. You're always like up and down ladders and stuff like that. Incredibly like difficult to wear. He designed this kind of like fitness style pair of like work pants, thick, durable material, stretchy top material. He's done like $100,000 in the first 3 months, with like 40% profit, no experience, out on the job site on a nail bag all day, every day,
I remember when I said to a mentor one time, he said to me, he's like, if you want to grow faster in your business, go and read these books. And I remember complaining to him, being like, well, I can't read. It's so hard for me to read. And all this stuff. And I'm like, and he goes, get an audiobook. And I'm like, give it audiobooks that make me fall asleep while I'm driving. And it's like I was waiting for some sort of sympathy for him to be like, I feel sorry for, And what he said to me, he's like, well, if you want it bad enough, you'll probably just fight through the pain of learning how to read. And I'm like, yeah, true. Because it's like, I think with every behavior, all we're trying to do is gain pleasure, avoid pain.
Yeah.
And we will do the tech things. Like, I'm not a tech guy, but I'm telling you, if I had to start from zero, I was getting to e-commerce, I'm telling myself this, I'm going to learn the tech. I'm going to learn the things that are challenging for me now, because the pain of having to learn them is far less than the pain of staying where I am. And I think people think that they can avoid pain along the way. It's like, you're not avoiding it. You got to choose it.
Yeah.
So you either choose the pain of doing the work of the things you don't want to do, or you'll choose the pain of staying exactly where you are. And then that shit will compound.
Yeah.
Because there's shit you probably do every single day, I do every single day, that I'm not a fan of, but I just do it because it's going to get done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sure, I'd rather not do this, but I also don't want to stay here. I know if I do this for a little while, we'll probably grow bigger and we'll hire someone who they can do it. But at this moment, that's what I got to go through.
I love what Andy Grove says about this. So he classifies it into, and he looks at it in a very, very simple fashion. So he's essentially like, if I put a gun to your head and I told you to do a particular behavior, you would either do it or you may not have the skill to do it. So he's like, all right, as an example, like if you put a gun to my head and you told me to go and play like a violin, I wouldn't be able to do it. I don't have that skill set, right? But if you put a gun to my head and said like, I don't know, wake up on time, or do absolutely it would be done. So it's either you have a skill issue or you have like a motivation issue. And that's all fundamentally it comes down to. And then he's like, okay, so how do we motivate? Motivating is either training or it's incentive. And that's like the two functions inside of it. Incentive, usually, like you mentioned, some form of like financial incentive, some form of like reward or pain potentially. And then training is just like that feeling of growth, that feeling of like, okay, I'm getting something from this. And I thought it was very interesting and like really like cut clean of like, okay, cool. When people are telling me they can't do something, so you're either not doing it because you don't know how, or you do know how, so you're just not motivated, which is I'm either not incentivized enough or I'm just lazy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's really easy to identify those who are really like that. Yeah.
So if I'm at rock bottom and I'm just getting started, I'm super fired up, I want to get into this. What are my first steps to actually getting into the e-commerce space and growing a successful business?
I'll talk about the brand that we just like helped most recently, because I think it's like it's a really good case study. I feel like it's probably one of the most current, like happening like right now examples of just like our exact process run really well. So I would say like initially, so first 5 steps, would you say?
Yeah.
So I think from what I find, the most successful founders in our community do is they really focus on like number one being like hyper specific with the particular like avatar that they're actually looking to go off.
On their buyer or their product?
No, on their buyer.
Who they want to
We always
sell to.
focus on like what we call like, you know, being problem centric and then market centric,
Right.
rather than being like, what's the product? You don't want to be a product pusher. Right, you want to be like focused on the problem and focused on the person, because then you're really, you know, understanding what they want, and you can organize, right, whether it's the product specifically or you adjust the product or you sell the product differently. You can orchestrate the marketing to fit the needs. But if you're just trying to push products, you don't understand what's happening, why it's selling, the behaviors, who it's selling to, and all the different mechanisms that go into it. So we always start with the actual avatar.
So you're finding that before. So you're finding who you want to sell to before you even think what you want to sell.
Well, we're thinking problem first.
Yeah. So
Problem
what
is
problem
key.
would this person have?
Correct.
What can we find or create to solve that problem?
So usually like looking for a problem, because the problem is where the demand is. And then we're looking for the way that problem can be like manifested into a particular person. So then it's like, which of the particular avatars am I going to focus on? Perfect example with this workwear shorts. So like if he had developed that exact same product, right, and just pushed it into, say, the fitness niche, which you could do, it's like a fitness style short, it would tank because it's been saturated. So the same product just gets retargeted into workwear, which has not been done before, all of a sudden $0 to $100,000 in 3 months. So it's just like always with that problem that he was like, man, like I'm on the job site every single day. I'm tripping up the ladder because my shorts freaking like hold me back, right? I'm hot as I can't breathe, right? My balls are sweaty. And he's like, I've got to solve this problem. And so he just literally started there and was like, what would be the solution? Okay, let's reverse engineer that and create some shorts that would be comfortable. What are other pain points? All the other shorts, they have these like pockets on the front. I put my nail bag over the top. Sometimes my freaking phone gets smashed because my nail bag's banging on top of my pockets where my phone is. So he's got this like little innovative pocket on the back of the pant, right? All these like small things that, hey, anyone would look at it and they'd be like, oh, that's a cool pair of fitness shorts. But the person who's actually designed for that, you know, solving that problem, they're like, oh my God, this is exactly what I need. So that's the first step always.
Did you ever watch Undercover Billionaire?
Yes, Grant Cardone, and there's a few other people.
Yeah, the first one. I forget. Was it? I'm gonna butcher his name. I forget his name. He was the founder of the banks. I can't think of it. Glenn. Yeah. So I remember watching this episode, and you know he's like obviously billionaire. And he went and his first little thing to start making some money was going and getting dog toys.
Right.
And he went and spent, like, they start with $100, right? And he spent like $50 or $60 buying dog toys, and then went down to the dog park and starting to sell shit.
Right.
And he absolutely bombed. And he came back and he's like, I forgot my number one rule of business. And that is to first find who I'm going to find my buyer and then go and get my product.
Yeah.
So he's like, what I should have done was actually go and create demand and seen if these people even wanted to buy dog toys. And that's something I do with everything I do. I will, every program I've created, I've sold it first. Yeah. Once we've actually filled spots and it's like, oh, people actually want this. Great. Now I'm going to go create it.
Yeah.
So I'll always sell an idea. But I'm testing and how many people, I don't know how many people you've seen. I've seen people in the e-commerce space. I want to do this product, or they come to me like, I've got this product, I want to sell it. I'm like, yeah, but you think that's cool.
Yeah, correct.
Have you got any data on, has anyone else asked for this? Has anyone else said that's also a problem for me? Or do you think it's a cool idea?
Yeah.
You know, and so I love that. So, okay, so find the go to the end first. So who actually gets the avatar, the niche? Okay, what's next?
And so from there, like similar to what you mentioned, so there's a couple of different ways that we want to take it from there. So it's like you either will go through the process of like manufacturing, which is usually like a big challenging pain point for people. And we have in our company a whole list of manufacturers that we've like vetted and sourced in China that we connect people with. So it improves that process tremendously. However, typically that's the next step. So it's like taking this idea, I've validated something. I know that I can kind of like, all right, there's a definite market there for it. And there's a whole heap of data and tools and sheets that we go through to really make sure that's actually real. And then we want to actually get the product. So it's like usually that manufacturing process and what we want to do here, similar to what you mentioned. So it's like low risk as possible. Okay, so it's like I don't want to go out and be like, all right, I'm going to go buy a whole container of these shorts straight away. So it's like, how can I mitigate risk as much as possible, hedge downside, and order either like the smallest minimum order quantity, like 10, 20, 50 pairs of those particular shorts, or alternatively order like two to five, right? Get some content on models and sell it on pre-sale. Either of those two options is exactly what we kind of like recommend. It's like hedge as much as possible because yes, you might have validated demand, you might have like solved a very particular problem, but it's definitely not. It's like you can validate that, and people might put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I'd love to." It's like people subscribing to an email list and saying, "Yeah, I'd love to be at the event," but it's like, and then 10% show up. And you're like, oh, I thought I was going to sell out. You know this, right? And so it's like until they pay and then they're actually getting their credit card out, it's like right then they want it. Right, so that's kind of the next step. Is we want to manufacture the product, make sure we can manufacture it at the kind of like profit kind of levels that make sense. And usually, if we can aim for like 80% gross profit, that's like the sweet spot. If you can be at 80%, some of our products are at like 90% gross profit, and it makes all the economics of the whole entire product makes so much more sense.
Meaning, just so we can break this down. Meaning, so if you're buying you want to have that 90% gross profit just on what you can pay for it and then resell it, right? So you're not talking about ad spend or nothing like this yet.
So all I'm talking about is cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold.
So it's like how much does it cost me to manufacture the product, any inspections, and then how much does it cost me all inclusive to get to Australia landed or to wherever you're going to like ship it from.
Okay.
What's that total cost? And you want to have that between that like 20% is okay. 30% you start to get a little bit kind of like close to the edge in terms of how you're going to work out after ad spend and other kind of expenses.
I know a lot of success does come down to picking the right product. And, you know, like I think if you've talked to anyone, you've probably even done this. You've had some stores you thought were going to crack and they just don't, and they flop. Is there any sort of strategies on how we can identify like the best type of product, or like is there margins, or you recommend going something quite cheap first or go some premium products, or is there any sort of strategies on?
I mean, like quite simply, so like if you can aim for products that have like a potential kind of like retail selling price of say, you know, $100 and $150, around about that margin, like above like say 80. And the main reason for that is just like to advertise on a lot of the platforms today, advertising costs, they're constantly increasing. Right. And so say, for example, you sell like a $20 product and you try and, you know, sell that through the conventional channels. It's going to be very difficult for you to get like a $6 acquisition on Facebook.
That's very true.
Like 30% of 20, $6, like not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you're selling it at like $100, right, and you're aiming for 30 as an acquisition, probably going to actually happen. So like as a general rule, anywhere of like $80, maybe $150 within that kind of a bracket, really, really, really good.
And that's what you're selling it for.
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
and then
selling price.
So just simple math. So if you're selling a product for $100, what you're saying is you want to be able to get it to shore for around $10, $12. That's roughly 90%.
Between $10 and $20. That's a good bracket. Between 10% and 20%. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about if we're getting our first sales. How do we go about getting our first sales? Is this something, because if one of my methods I'll teach, I'm like, is going to the 4 Fs. I don't know if you heard of this. I'm like, any product, anywhere. Doesn't matter if it's e-commerce or whatever. If I'll start any business today, I go to the 4 Fs first. I talk to my family, which that usually dies very quickly.
Short-lived.
I go to my friends. Call. I'm like, yo, we're doing this thing. Any interest in you? Da, da, da. Maybe I'm going to ask for a referral. Hey, if not you, do you know anybody?
Yeah.
And I go to my followers and just the base I've already got, any data that I've already got.
Yep.
Just actually test the waters, seeing this what we're doing. And then anyone foolish enough to get within 5 feet of me.
Nice.
Right. And I built my whole first business through network marketing, literally talking to absolute strangers. Yeah. I would make friends with the person doing my checkout chick. I'd have 30 seconds to be able to talk to her, connect with her, get on
Yeah.
Instagram, pique her interest, and then have a sales conversation with her. So like all these other people that are getting overwhelmed, like, I got to run ads straight away. I'm like, dude, you could just test it with like a small niche market and see if they like it, if they would buy, get some testimonials, get all this stuff going, get some feedback, and then crank an ad. So that's what I would do. Would you recommend anything like that? Or have you got a different strategy to get our first sales? Do we go TikTok shopping, or are we running ads, or UGC, or paying people to promote it? What are you doing?
I like that a lot. And I think that a lot of e-com founders can probably do more of that, because a lot of them, it's almost like, and you've probably seen this as well with perhaps some people in your community, but it's like when you build a new company, it's kind of like we and like our company all of a sudden, even though it's just you.
Yeah.
And so it's like you want to look bigger than you are. And so it's almost like you want to, like, you know, not ask those people because you're supposed to have your shit figured out and all that type of stuff.
I think that's the thing that can kill people.
I think it absolutely is. It's the pride of like, no, we should have our shit figured out. No, we should run ads. No, we should just do this. And some of our clients, they do go straight to their kind of like friends and family and followers, definitely. And they can have some great success. Like the brand that I mentioned, the skateboard brand, followers only. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know how to run. I didn't even want to watch the video. I wanted to get on the coaching call and learn how to do it. I'm just going to promote and, you know, share some content. And so that was his strategy, and it worked really well. But like, I always find that it's like, that's good. And that's probably an initial test, right? But what we're looking for to scale a business is a predictable, repeatable, like customer acquisition, like mechanism and a platform. So I'll always look to use like Facebook or Meta. Like that's like the primary platform. Majority of the traffic, majority of the sales that you generate initially anyway. TikTok Shop and a lot of the TikTok platforms are looking really cool. But in terms of like consistency of like control as well, like TikTok's good, but there's so much fluctuations with like you'll get a pocket of this audience and you'll get this audience and it's like crazy cheap and the quality is really poor. So it's very volatile, right? Meta, when you really start to dial it in, you can literally just like scale your ad spend from 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 a day, and just it'll be somewhat linear, which is exactly what you want. If you think about a business, like, okay, cool, I've got product market fit, I'm selling a product. What do I then want to do? I want to sell as much of this damn thing as possible in the shortest amount of time. Right. So it's like, I want to be able to control the sales channel with like increasing budgets. And so usually what we'll do is like, yes, friends, family, followers, any of those mechanisms, definitely. But then we want to move into, and people get so much satisfaction that I find from this as well, is when they have their first sales that are like not their friends and family. And so they're like
other people,
right? It's like, there's somebody random. So excited. You know what I mean?
Like that first online sale from a stranger. It's like, I did not know.
Yeah, literally. It's like, okay, you feel sorry for me. Yep, you felt sorry for me too. Yeah.
Then it's pity buy.
Yes, this is a real customer.
Yeah.
And so like we want to establish that kind of like, you know, footprint on Meta usually first, because it's like, it's very predictable. You can control that kind of mechanism in terms of pushing more spend into it. And that's usually the platform we use, with a little bit of like, you know, Google to retarget and capture a little bit more intent of people that might come through. But that's usually the approach. So it's like people will either do like just direct launch and start running ads, or they may do like an organic kind of presence, hype on socials, those types of things, and then push that and go into like paid ads directly.
Is there like a do's and don'ts when it comes to creating creatives for selling products? What have you found is like, here's how you can create winning creative.
Yeah.
Here are some things that you see are happening that like, these are killing your ads.
Yeah, good question. So I think at the moment, from what I'm finding, from a creative perspective, there's a couple of things. So founder-led UGC is working really, really well, where it's like, hey, like, this is my brand. I'm just creating this right now. We're about to launch, and this is why the product's so amazing. That's story-based content, super authentic. We had one of our clients last week, I believe. She got over 200,000 or 300,000 views with a very, very, very similar content piece that she just created, where she's like, you know, come on a journey with me as I create my bag for corporate mums. I'm putting this together. I'm going to show you the whole process. And she started running that as an ad after.
Just documenting.
Correct. And it's like slide by slide by slide, really, really authentic. I guess it's just like, people want to believe and they want to trust. It's like the polished, shiny, like perfectly constructed ads, not as much, you know what I mean? But like very authentic, me just talking face to cam on my phone, which goes against what I said before around like, I'm too proud. I should have an agency. I should have content people taking these things for me. I should get UGC creators. It's like, no, you should just pick up your damn phone, get in front of that thing and either shoot it yourself or talk about it face to cam, because it's so relatable. You know, so I find content like that is really, really crushing it right now. if you can, and as much as you can, I think another client of ours, he launched a solar camera business, and it was like selling like cameras that you attach to your home with like a little solar panel, and so they run all the time, no power and stuff. And so he got his wife to just like stand out the back of his house, and he was like, just she's like, I'm not very good at doing this stuff, and he's like, it's okay, it's all good. And she just like spoke face to cam, not very trained at all, sounded very like, robotic and wooden, but you could tell it was real. And you could tell it wasn't like, hey, everybody, Frank Walker from National, right? It was like, he's so authentic. And so people are like, wow, like I can tell that this lady was actually standing and this is real. And like, I really want to trust that. So I think as much of that as possible that you can kind of weave into the creatives, I think works really, really, really well. Overall, I find that like video content is superior to static content, but then different brands have different like kind of like dispositions towards content. We have a fishing shirt brand, and exclusively in that brand, video content just doesn't work. It's like
Interesting.
That brand entirely runs off static, the most ugliest, dirtiest static images. And we keep trying the creative, we keep trying the UGC, because on every other company that we run, video crushes. And it's like, we'll run it, flops.
I wonder if it's got to do independently with who your target market is, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're selling fishing shirts, like without anyone listening to this who might wear a fishing shirt, no disrespect, but typically they're more like, boganish,
they're rough
fishermen,
you jump
fucking, so maybe for them, they're like, the polished videos are just not their thing. They're like, get me my VB fishing shirt and leave me the fuck alone for the weekend.
And I don't want to watch, I don't want to know too much. I just want to see the design.
Yeah.
Look who can buy.
We'll do the job.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where someone like, but like, if I'm going to buy something, especially if it's going to be like a luxury thing, I want to see what's going to look.
Correct.
I want to see like, can I imagine myself, how am I going to feel wearing that thing?
Or like the beauty market is very, very, very difficult to penetrate into. Super challenging. Females are really critical. They're very kind of like, they're always, majority of our kind of data will always suggest that females they buy a lot more than males. It's like 65, 70% of like most purchases through a lot of the brands. Even the fishing shirt brand is like females buying for their kids, buying for their partners, etc., as opposed to the actual males.
Yeah.
And so the beauty and makeup niche is quite challenging, simply because it's like, it's so scrutinized. Everything needs to look so perfect. Everything needs to look so polished. They want to see like how their skin's going to look. As an example, you can't just be like, yeah, g'day, like, hey, this is my dermal roller. You should buy it.
Have you found any because just something you said, they need to see what their skin's going to look like. Is there any sort of, like, when it really comes down to picking the right creative for marketing, like, what are we really trying to hit here? Are we trying to show them how they could use this product themselves? Are we trying to demonstrate what they're going to look like, feel like? Are we trying to demonstrate an end result? Or are we trying to demonstrate how this is going to solve a problem? Like, is there an angle, or are you just split testing heaps of shit and running with whatever works?
So there's a few like, I guess like angles to take. It depends on the market and depends on the sophistication of the market. So like if you the company Lucent Globe, those guys who redesigned the sheets that you put into your dishwasher. I don't know if you know that company.
No.
And so they kind of disrupted the tablets.
Yes.
Yeah. And they have those like sheets, and they're fully like able to be broken down.
Yeah.
And so this is a really easy and great example. So in that market, sophistication of the market was really, really low. People didn't know that it was a problem. Right? No one was like, damn, these tablets, like, oh, they're a real issue. I wish someone would create something. Everyone was just like going along their merry life, not really aware that like this is an issue, right? And so like the creative that if they would have come straight out and used like strong hook, right, story about why the product's good, and then some kind of call to action, which is very traditional, it wouldn't have worked very well, because people are like, okay, I don't really care about that.
Sure.
Right. And so like in that particular demographic with that market, it's like comparison. Every single thing. Did you know this is an issue? This is why this is bad. This is why this is bad. This is why this is bad. And in fact, it's actually poisoning you. Introduce solution. So it really depends on the actual market you're getting into.
They're the ones they put it in a blender or something. They like blended up plastic or some shit.
I think it was that, and they also pulled out like the nappy sand pink, and they looked at all the chemicals on it, and they were like, "This is what's wrong with this thing. It's killing
you." Problem aware first,
correct,
and like, oh shit,
precisely.
And that is a cognitive bias. I forget which one it is, but it's like, if you can be the person seen as actually demonstrating, showing someone the problem, you're more trusted to show them the solution as well.
Oh God, yeah. So I mean, like in the creative sense, it depends on what you're trying to sell and who it's to, really. But like traditionally, like what I find is like comparison ads work really, really well if you're like especially if you're a smaller company starting out and you have bigger competitors. It's really good to be, which is like most companies when they're starting out. If you're starting out and you're just like starting to make your first $10,000-$20,000 a month, you have most companies that are bigger than you. So like you want to differentiate as much as possible. And we live in a day and age where it's more rare to have stories like that Lucent Globe, where people are like, I didn't know this was a problem. Most people are like, I've seen that product. I know that product. You know what I mean? So we're pretty aware of most things. And so like those kinds of comparison ads where it's like, you know, this is why all of these things are bad and this is why my solution is actually better, work really, really well to get into like tough, saturated markets. I think those are very, very good. So that's one type. I find that one type of ad that works really, really well as well is like a screenshot style, kind of like almost like something that your customer said, right? But put it into like a static format, like a quote, right? So it might be like something, and it's really genuine. You can't sit there and just like slap it into ChatGPT yourself and be like, write me a review for like, if it can be something strange and odd, a bit quirky that your customer might have said about your product that they purchased, like, hey man, this was the most crazy thing. We have a really interesting example of this. So I have a client and she sells gym wear, and she introduced this product to her range that was like it's like a night. I'm going to completely butcher this. It's like a little like something like an outfit you wear to bed, I think, with like little buttons on the front, and you can see like the girl's bum, right? Okay. And it's really interesting. So she's like going for like this female market, assuming that all the females are going to buy, right? And interestingly enough, all these guys start buying, right? Because they're all like, man, I'd love it if my girlfriend looked like that. So they start buying. And so what happens is all these dudes start leaving these reviews, right, on her page being like, bro, this is crazy. I can't like stop my wife wearing this thing. I just about want to rip it off her every single time. And so she captures these things, puts it in those little screenshots. Massive pattern interrupt. Yeah. Because a girl's like, oh my God, I wish my boyfriend did that to me. And the dudes are like, wait, what? Right. So it's like that, those types of like interruptions of the pattern, really, really, really powerful. Yeah.
Okay. So let's say, so I'm scaling my business to 100K months, 200K months, $500,000 months, $1 million months. What sort of systems, like what problems are going to happen that I need to be aware of that I should probably start to either think about building or seek out to build? Like what do I need in the back end to really start scaling this thing?
Well, I think we'll go through level by level. So I think assuming, say, for example, right now let's take the example we've just been speaking about, and we've launched that product, the short product, right? Launched it, and it's gone to like that kind of like $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month level. Usually, for most founders to get from like 0 to 10, it's just like, is the product selling to the right person, and am I using the right creative? Like that's really it. It's just like, can I get that kind of like fit economically in terms of, are my creatives working? Are they in KPI? Do I have enough profit left over after all costs to be able to go further? Because if you don't get that part right there, you don't have any profit to scale. So you're kind of in that zone being like, is this the right avatar? Do I need to adjust the avatar? Do I need to change the creative? Do I need to like position the product differently? Do I need to change the messaging? Do I need to change the offer? So it's just that tweaking zone. And that's usually the most painful zone from 0 to 10, right? Once you've got to like 10K a month and you want to get to 100K a month, 9 out of 10 times, it's just like, how do I tip more ad spend onto the same damn thing? Like, that's it. It's just fear. Most of the time, those founders at that level, they're like, I got to 10, I want to get to 20. And most of the time, just need someone to hold their hand and just go, let's increase the budget. That's it. Genuinely, that's it. And so you can take the same product, assuming the economics are pretty good, to $100,000 a month. Just on one channel, one product, and you've got a good, strong kind of like creative piece that's working well. Once you're going from like 100K a month up to say like 200, 300K a month, you need to start to have like some other people, right? So you might need to have like, you can go from 0 to 100K a month pretty well yourself. You might have one support agent that will help you. Everything else you can do 100% yourself. From that point on, you might need to have some other individuals in the team to help you with bits and pieces. So it kind of becomes like, okay, I can take the same product. You might need to introduce a couple of other products to kind of like diversify the revenue a little bit and tap into more sales to the same customers. Because by that time you're selling a lot of that product, you want to start like, broadening what is available for those customers. So introducing some different products to the overall kind of like, your SKUs at that time is really, really, really good. 100K to like 300K a month is like good. I've got one product that's working really well and I've got 20,000 customers by now. Good. Let's get some more products in the hands of those same customers. Start reselling to those customers. Start offering like a wider suite. Because I just think about it like this. So it's like you've got one product selling on one channel, and it's like you're going deep, if that makes sense. And so like as you get to a point where you kind of like tapped out this one like channel, and you're like, now we want to start to build out a little bit more, like we want to go broad at the same time. One more product, and we want to start scaling that product line a little bit. And that's going to help you to get to that like $300K a month, $500,000 a month level, as well as then some additional like team structures as well. So it goes, I think the most challenging part for most founders is honestly that 0 to 10, because it's scary. They're not, making money immediately. It's like testing. It feels like you're just, throwing stuff at a wall and hoping something that sticks. And then once you get past that $100,000 per month level, it kind of just becomes more of the same. Adding more products, increasing your capacity, and then at like 300 to 400,000 a month, it's like team, people, a little bit more like leadership, and kind of like forecasting the vision becomes really important. And it's not just like me sitting there slamming Facebook ads.
How do you keep your head right through all the failures, the flops, getting fired up? Because everything we've just talked about sounds like I bet someone listening is like, I'm going to start an e-commerce business. And that's what we want. We want someone to be like, this is simple. Because I think all business is simple. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And they need to understand that. So, like everything I teach is mostly the mindset. Like anyone to work with business with me at all, they have to do my 3-day transformation program. Because I'm like, I'm not going to work with you while you're fucked in the head still.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to work with you if you don't know how to move through fear, or if you're still dealing with these limiting beliefs and things like this. I'm like, you go do the mindset stuff, and then we'll work on business. How do you handle like just mentally going through? Because like business is every day you go to the office, it could be a different problem. Something's failed, ads got shut down, product stopped working, China's been delayed. Who knows? Like there's the endless amount of shit that could go wrong.
Yeah.
Our friends recently, Andrew, I was speaking to Andrew the other day. I'm like, how's the start of the year for you? He's like, good, first day back, 9 people resigned. I'm like, 9 people in the day, right? And I'm like, like just these things. So how do you as a founder, as a CEO, keep your head strong through hard times and when it feels like it's just like, this sucks?
For me personally, I just like constantly revert back to just like what would you do otherwise? I just ask myself the question. I'm like, what would you rather do? Like, would you, like, no one's forcing you to be here, bro.
Back on the job site.
I'm just like, what's the alternative? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like it, fuck off. Quite simply, I have that conversation with myself. I'm just like, this is what you signed up for. Complain. What's that going to do for you? And it's challenging sometimes. And sometimes my wife is grateful enough to do this for me. If I get in that, and to just be like, give me some critical kind of feedback if I need it. But I think it's important because it's just like, what's the moping going to do for you?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, there's not many days that go predictably according to plan. Like more often than not, and I say this to all of the founders, I'm like 99% of the time, you're going to get smashed from all angles. You're going to be on like maximum difficulty from all levels at all times, every single fucking day, and it's just like, and I'm very clear about it. I'm like, it is damn hard. Like, don't come into this and think you're just going to like go for a little prance in the park and make, millions of dollars. Like it's going to be challenging. Absolutely. So I don't know, for me, like that's it. It's just like, just choose. And similar to what we were saying before in terms of like just choosing your pain, right? It's just like, I just choose this pain. And I'm like, yep, makes sense for me at the moment until it doesn't. But for now, it's good.
Is there ever like, because I have like a philosophy with my partner. I'm like, I'm happy to support, like if you've got a problem, like, I'll help you talk through it, whatever. But like, it's just going to be clear, like, are you seeking a solution from this or you want to complain? And because, if I'll let her complain. But, like, I think sometimes is there ever anything for you where you're like, I just need to fucking vent for a second. I just want allow me to be pissed off and allow me to be a victim for a moment, and then I'm going to fucking go back through it? Or have you found a way to completely, like, you just don't let that come off at all?
I mean, in terms of like giving any form of like a victim-based venting to my wife, like that's just a no-go. You don't deal with her. No, I mean, if I do, she'll just call me out on it. And I'm just like, got it. I'm going back to work now. So it's just honesty. And I think it's like, it's hard sometimes because like, it's like what you want isn't what you need, even though you're in that moment, you're like, man, I think that it would feel good if, and it's just like, it doesn't serve you. You know, you probably need to just hear that hard slap, and you probably need to just get back in there. You probably need to pick up the phone and do that thing, or call that person, or just like close the deal, whatever it is. But it's like sitting out here and like complaining about it. It doesn't do anything to advance you forward at all.
What's the difference with how you think through life problems now versus Sasha a decade ago, on the tools, in debt, around the wrong people?
I think fundamentally, I think that I can learn anything. Like that's the underlying like belief. I just know with enough application and enough work ethic, which I have, you know, no shortage of, like I can learn anything. And so I think like that's how I think about anything that I do. I'm like, okay, this really fucking sucks. I know that like from a core level, I won't give up on things. Like I'm very, very, very much just like, and it might be sometimes to my detriment. Like maybe it's that, you know, Russian stubbornness that just kind of gets in and like forces me to not quit or not give up. Fundamentally, it's like I won't give up on things. I believe that I can learn anything that I want to learn, and I can kind of develop the skills to actually get better at things. And I've seen that over and over and over again. And I think the other key thing that I've built over time, had this conversation with my brother, and so he was like kind of like complaining to me about like his girlfriend. He was like, man, like she just doesn't like believe in me. She doesn't really like, you know, seem to support me very much. And it's like all my ideas and the things that I want to do, I don't really seem to get much support with. And I'm like, okay, interesting. I'm like, what have you done to show her that you're going to follow through on those things? And it was like, quiet. And I was like, right. Because like one thing that I've also developed also because of that massive like catalyst of like fear of, you know, going back to where I was, is like I deliver, you know, and it's like I'll continue delivering, and it might not be on time, and it might be a lot more expensive than I initially projected, but I'll fucking ship it and I'll get it done and I'll close the thing, you know. And so I think over time, especially in relation to relationships particularly, it's like I feel like that's such an important thing. It's just like, you know, that trust factor of like, I will deliver. I will deliver, I will deliver, I will deliver. Just watch the track record build up, you know?
So back in the day, would you say you didn't used to have the beliefs of that you could do anything? 'Cause it sounds like could learn anything. It sounds like it's the bottom line is the old traditional growth mindset versus victim mindset. It's like,
so true.
I think literally the definition of like a growth mindset is having the belief that anything can be learned.
Correct.
Like I can learn anything. I'm not fixed. Where fixed mindset is like, well, I am just who I am.
Yeah.
I'm my traits, my behavior, my knowledge is simply fixed traits, and I can't change. And from that state, you'll never actually be motivated to put in the effort and go do these things. Because like if you believe that, well, it doesn't matter how much effort I put in, why would I buy a course? Why would I do this if I'm not actually ever going to grow? But here it's like, well, fuck, I can do everything and anything. I just haven't learned that thing yet. So did you used to think that way?
Oh, no, not at all. Like I didn't like read until I was like maybe 25.
No, did
26.
you used to think, you said one of the biggest things that changed was now you know that you can learn anything. Like was there a point where you were like, fuck, I am who I am, or like more fixed?
That's a good question specifically. I mean, my actions would suggest yes. Like I was never doing anything to change self. It was just like, yeah, got it. Construction job.
Yeah.
Next. Okay, work here for a while, get paid. Like there was no like, I'm really frustrated. Maybe you should like learn a new skill. There was no even under this. I remember like the first time I thought about like investing into a program, like an online program. I watched this like Sam Ovens webinar, and I was like, wow, this is insane. Like this seems like a crazy opportunity. Sitting on my iPad, like at my kitchen bench, and then got to the end of the webinar. It was like $1,450 like USD, and I just shut the thing and I was like, fuck that, that's a scam. I was like, God, no, man, there's no way I could ever do that.
Wow.
Shut the thing out. And the thing I was most scared about was like, what would I tell my friends? I was like, I got a housemate. He'd be like, what is that shit you're doing? I was like, there's no way I'll deal with that. And it was just like, I'm out, done. Closed it. And I think back to that all the time because I'm like, man, if I had another 2.5 years on where I am now, such a different position.
What was like? So if you move first, it sounds like there was a couple of years before you finally actually really did start diving deep. Was there anything specific where you were like a life-changing moment or drawing the line in the sand moment where you really went all in? Like, was there anything specific?
I think one thing that and Patrick, one of my mentors, he talks about this a lot in terms of like choose your enemies, and he's like massively motivated by enemies. And I think one thing that was quite definitive, I wouldn't like give too much credit to her, but somewhat. So when I was like in a really, really bad way, using drugs a lot, I had this like girlfriend at the time, and I think we had this massive argument. I was like, on drugs at the time, and she kind of like broke up with me, and then she came home like the next day to clean all of her stuff out of the house, and I was like, sitting on the floor because she took a lot of the furniture, and she was like looking at me, and I was like sitting there like literally like on drugs, and she's just like, "You're just fucking pathetic. You are so pathetic." I'm like, she's like, "You are never going to be anything. I wasted so much time with you. Just fucking just loser." And I was, and I got so angry at myself, but directed at her. But I was just like, that was a big catalyst for me. So it was interesting because it was just like I wanted to prove that I wasn't a loser, because I probably was. I was, you know what I mean? So I think that was a big moment for me. Yeah,
It's cool though, because like I think life, the universe, God, whatever, throws you people like that to punch you in the face, literally. And I think if anyone really does want to create anything successful in their life, there's opportunities every single day to either see someone like that and go and blame them, go, "How dare you? Why would you speak to me like that?" Blah blah blah, and then resolve back, or actually be able to step out of it, view it objectively, and be like, "Shit, is there some truth in this?"
Yeah,
like you did, and the rest is history. This is super powerful, man. So let's talk about. I want to sort of recap all of this. If we would like put you into a shuttle, put you into Mars, and you can never share any information on e-commerce ever again. And we're going to put like a 5-step blueprint on how to scale an e-commerce business from zero to the first $1 million.
Got it.
And we're going to hang it on a wall in here in the studio with your face next.
My head on it. Yeah.
All right. So anyone is like, "How do I grow an e-commerce business from the famous Sasha Karabut?" Here's the 5 steps.
Got it.
What are they?
So I think initially, pick a problem for a very specific person. Super, super important. I would say step 2 from there would be like the profit. So make sure your profit is acceptable and it's in range. So it's like problem and then profit. And then number 3 would definitely be like the platform. So where you're going to sell it from. And that includes all of your, advertising, everything else that kind of goes into that. The content that you organize is like, make sure you're picking one distribution channel.
Like, so one advertising channel?
Yes.
So Meta.
Correct. Starting with Meta, go with Meta. Starting with TikTok, go with TikTok. If you're going to go organic, go with one. But don't try and like launch on like 3 or 4 different things at once. Way too many variables, way too difficult. So we want to go problem, then we're going to go profit, then we're going to go platform. And so 5, I would say, after that.
What was 4?
No, that's 3. Yeah, I'm thinking 5 in general. 5 steps. So yeah, problem, and then I would say profit, then I would say platform. I'm just like making this up with P's right now, and now I feel like I'm like stuck with P's. I'm like, what's the next P? After you've got the platform down, I think it's really like, assuming you got the platform good, it's really just about like
Proceed
more Yeah, no, I was gonna say push. Because you just need to push more volume. Like it's really, you have to push more volume. So it's like you've got the platform's working. It just needs more volume. And then the last thing you really need to, start to do at the end of that is really like people. So that can be like the last P.
Like you're that's the 5 P.
I was like, geez,
I will put. So I'm last on the board,
and this is actually good.
Yeah, so can you remember them? So
yeah. It's problem, profit, platform. Once the platform's good, you got to push, and you got to push more volume, and then people.
And focus on people, meaning like culture.
Like
your employee, or
you need a few people that can help you. Because like once you got some money coming in, like 100K a month plus, you can have some budget to be like, all right, like dude, I'm really bad at email marketing. Let's get an agency in. Or like, man, I'm really really good at X. I'm going to get someone to do Y. You actually have some people that you can outsource to bring into the company and do a little bit more resource wise. So yeah,
cool. That's great. The 5 P.
Nice.
Scaling an e-commerce business, but as the nail on this episode. Beautiful dude. To kind of come to a close, for anyone watching this, listening to this, that maybe is waiting for that last push. They're a bit on the fence. They're that person who comes up to you at an event who says, "I've always thought about starting this business," or maybe they've dabbled, or maybe they've got a little bit and they're really wanting to finally go all in now. What's your final piece of advice for them? So the next time, if you were to see them in a year, they'd be a lot further ahead than what they are. What's the thing they need to hear?
I mean, like, just real quick. So assuming that they own a business, an e-commerce business or something like that, and it's like, what do they need to get to the next level?
Let's just say that they're just starting. They're like, I'm dabbling.
Right.
I'm dabbling. I've kind of been 1 foot in. I've either been 1 foot in, 1 foot out on already a kind of a business. Like I've tested a little bit. I maybe, I've looked at an ad once, or they're like, I've really thought about starting a business, but I still haven't. And they're just swaying back and forth. What should I do?
I mean, like, but it's challenging for me to think about that because I feel like you just have to decide that you're going to do it. Like fundamentally, it's just like, I have to be like, I'm going to do this. Second to that, I think maybe like understanding, like I keep thinking about and referring to like our community right now. And I'm like, we have every 7 days, a new founder hits $10,000 in our community. And I'm like, I look at that and I'm just like, if you're just around a group of people that were just doing that consistently and you were just seeing that happening, you'd be a product of that success. Like, I'm just like, if you were just seeing these new brands go bam, and then bam, and then bam, and then bam, and you're like watching that happen, it'd be pretty difficult for you to be like, you know what, I don't know if this is possible for me. Like the belief would just be brainwashed into you because you've seen so many people just like you starting before you or after you generating success, So I think like, if you're going to be all in on it and you're actually like, dude, I'm doing this thing, like it's very important to construct an environment around you that like supports what you want to do. Yeah.
Cool. 1 sec before we sort of do the drop your shit in there, is there something super specific we can send them to? Like, ages ago we talked about, like, is there like a webinar or have you anything like that?
I have heaps of free resources and trainings. What would be?
Right, I guess like something you could probably seed them to where they get educated and get on a call or I don't know.
I mean, I have like a 45-minute training that they could watch, or I have like a fast starter program, which is like a 7-day free program.
So why don't we do this then? Why don't we do something where they can DM you the word like dream or
Yeah.
And then you can just set up like many chat or some shit to send them, and then it's all come from here.
I do advise that. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I mean, I'll set up an individual kind of like calendar event or UTM tracking in terms of so it can be actually tracked for where it comes from this podcast. So what's going to be most valuable? I know I have DM guys in the DMs. What do you think the audience is going to be most receptive to? Sending a DM or clicking a link? I mean, you just give them both options.
Yeah, we can do both options. Yeah.
It's
always hard to tell. Like, I'm not much of a link clicker.
Yeah,
because that takes them off the episode. But if they, if they came all this way, just sat through an hour, they're fucking qualified, and they're probably gonna want to suss you out. I think doing both, but if they can DM you, But if you frame it in a way where it's like special because it's a listener or something like that, but yeah, whatever.
I'll just do
whatever you think's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think I mean, what's the most proven from a sales process perspective is definitely them going through and watching the training video.
Do that,
and then
the free training.
Yeah,
cool. So we'll wrap it up with like, cool, awesome, dude. So we're gonna wrap this up. So where can everybody? I know we can sit here for ages, and I know you've got like a heap of content as well. Where can everybody find you on social media? And have you got anything else that you could plug them into where they could further their education and take the next step if they want to?
Yeah, so I mean, like, I've recently just re-recorded like our kind of like 5 pillars, our training process that kind of outlines each of the stages that we've discussed. And then there's a whole bunch of like, case studies and examples and processes that people can kind of like look at, and then they can actually follow along with themselves. So we'll put that below in the show notes. And in terms of socials as well, if you want to contact me there, I think it's Sasha_Karabut. And you can also, DM me if you'd like to, with Dream, is it right? Use that word, yeah.
Yep. You can go Dream. You'll send in the training?
Yeah, I'll send you the training. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll put the link below, yeah?
Yeah, we'll put the link below.
Let's redo this. This is botched stuff. I'm like, what are we saying?
Yeah, he's telling him to do one thing. He says, if you can do a link, just tell him to fucking click the link.
We'll just do a link.
Yeah.
Got it, go. Let's do it again.
What did I even ask? Cool, dude. So this has been awesome. I know we could chat for hours and hours and hours, but so where can everybody find you on social media? And have you got anything else that you could actually maybe give them? Can we give them something for free where they can continue their learning and take the next steps?
For sure. Yeah, definitely. So follow me on Instagram, Sasha_Karabut. And then in terms of like additional resources, I've recently just completed like a revamp of our training. It's like a training webinar that's about 45 minutes long, and it really just unpacks all of the stages inside of that 5-step kind of blueprint. Lots of case studies, examples, really relevant people from all different stages and different company sizes. Some doing millions of dollars a month, some doing like, smaller revenues per month. So it's a really good kind of starting point for anybody who's interested to learn more. And we'll pop the link down below in the show notes.
Amazing. All right, dude. So to wrap this up, I have a final question for you. If you were to go back to your 18-year-old self and give him 30 seconds of advice, what would it be?
So I would definitely say like don't drink and don't do drugs. I think that's probably a starting point that would help quite a lot. I probably would say second to that is like read a lot. I think Charlie Munger said something like he's never met like, someone ultra wealthy that does not read all the time. So I'd probably, definitely say like read a lot. And then the last thing I would say would just be like cut all the losers from your life. I just can't talk enough to like how much damage people have done to me because I've just let them stay in my life for too long. That I just don't care about my future. In fact, they want to see me do less than what I'm doing at the moment. So I think some of those key things would be very helpful for me.